What's going on, guys? Chris Ever here. I'm up in my office right now. It's almost opening day here in Maine. We've got another week and a half or so left, and then it's opening day for open water fishing up here. So I'm mostly just going to clean and lubricate my reels, but I have a couple spinning reels, some Baitcasters, and some fly reels that I'm going to do. So I'll just show you. I've got a couple different types. And I'm not going to do all my reels right now. I have a couple that were newer last year, so I'm not going to clean those. But I got a couple Baitcasters that are probably pretty gross because I haven't cleaned those. And the fly reel shouldn't be too bad because there's not a lot of moving parts and stuff in there. I'll show you what I got here. I got my reels over here. This is the stuff that I use. Basically, you're going to want a bunch of Q-tips. That's how we're going to clean all the grime and grease off from the reels. And then you're going to want a little screwdriver. This is just a small little Phillips head. That's what most of the reels take. I've got some reel oil and I got some reel grease. And also I've got this here. This is a mixture. About a 50-50 mix of water and Simple Green. And if you've never used Simple Green before, it's just an all-purpose cleaner and it's supposed to be like environmentally friendly, and it's a pretty mild cleaner. So you can use just water, or sometimes you can use alcohol if you're using it on just metal parts. But I use this. It's just Simple Green and water. So we've got that. I've got 2 spinning reels. I've got 3 fly reels, and then I got an assortment of loose Baitcasters over here, and those are pretty much all the same. But let's get into it and show you what we do. Alright, so let's start with this luge that I got here. This is just a LFS, so 6/8 to 1, not that matters, but they're all pretty much the same. And I've just taped the line on there so it doesn't go all over the place. But basically what I'm going to do is take this apart, take the brake side off, take the spool out, take this side off, get into the gears and grease those up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my worm gear. And the worm gear is just this little metal thing right in here that you can see that has little lines in it, little grooves, and that's what keeps your line going on your reel nice and level. I've heard it also called the level line or whatever you want to call it, but basically you just want to rub the grime and grease and stuff off from that, turn it a little bit, rub it, turn it a little bit, and you keep doing that till you've gone all the way around. Then you put this to the other side and do over here, get the grease off of there. And you can see all the stuff I got off from that worm gear is pretty gross. So then the other thing you want to clean is this. I'm going to dip my Q-tip in my solvent stuff over here, my Simple Green and water, and kind of just clean this little hole here where the line goes through. Clean that because that gets kind of gross sometimes. And you can actually take this Simple Green and use it to wipe your whole outside of your reel and clean all the dust and dirt off from it when you're done. So I've done that. Then I'm going to pop the spool out on the loose. You take this little pin, you slide it over, and then flip up on the side. There's your brakes. And then you just pull the spool right out. We'll set those over here. And now we're going to take off this side of the reel, all the handle, the drag star and everything. So this is where you're going to want your little screwdriver. Undo this little Phillips head. Pop the cap off here. I'm going to put everything that I take off, I'm going to put it in a line of the order that I take it off in, right up here. And then you're going to need an adjustable wrench or some type of wrench to get the nut off here. That wasn't on very tight, so that comes right off. Put that next to that. Pop this off. And there's actually a washer on the back of here that I'm going to take off because I'm going to clean the grease off that. And then put my handle down. And the drag star just comes off by unscrewing it. This is the same for pretty much all Baitcasters. Some may be a little different, but alright. You want to slide this off, just like that. Those there. Then you want to unscrew this cap here. Now the next step is we're going to undo these 3 screws and the one on the bottom here, and we're going to take this side plate off. But what you want to do when you take this off is you want to leave it sitting up like this. You don't want it down because there could be stuff in there that'll fall out and you don't know where it's going to come from. So let's take this apart. We're going to do this screw first. Just so you don't have to do it last and it's not facing downward. And this screw actually is a little maintenance port right here that you can grease your gears with. But I'm actually going to take it all apart just so you can see what it looks like. But if you just want to do it quickly, you can just stick some grease on that gear and then turn the handle. Alright, I'm going to take these off. Now this whole piece should come right off. Like so. And there's the inside of your reel. You can tell why you don't want to tip this down. There's little springs here that could fall out. I'm not really going to clean this too much. I mostly just wanted to show you what it looks like in there. You can tell there's already quite a bit of grease in there, and it's not really dirty, and there's not a bunch of dirt and crap in there, so I'm not really going to clean it. But I am going to put some grease on this gear right here, which you could have done through the port on the bottom of this, but if your reel doesn't have a maintenance port like this one does, then you want to take it apart and grease it. And I'm just going to put a bunch on my finger and then just work it into this gear. That's too much. Work it all the way around. Alright, so now we've got that. I am going to take a Q-tip and just clean the back side of this bearing off. And then I am going to put a little bit of oil on the back side of this bearing. Just a drop. Screws back in. Alright, so that's all put back together. I'm going to take a new Q-tip here, clean one, and just kind of rub all the areas that the contact points are for the reel, like along the inside of here, inside of this, grease down in there. I'm going to take one more pass over it with a cleaning solvent just to get any bad stuff off. I'm going to put a little bit of grease down in here, and that's going to work itself in on its own down in that center piece. Put just a little bit of grease on this bearing right here. Just kind of put it on with your fingers. You don't want a lot, but I'm going to put some oil on these bearings here. Just the real oil, just one drop, and then another drop or two in this bearing. Alright, so we can put this cap back on here as we're all done in there. I'm going to clean this shaft off. Put just a little bit of grease on the threads here. Not a lot. Then we're going to start assembling this back together. Cleaning, you can clean each piece as you go. That's got a bunch of garbage in there. I'm just going to clean that out, some of it. Probably don't really need to because it's all decent grease in there. It doesn't look all gross, but And then I'll just re-grease the threads. Okay, and then I just put this cap back on. Alright, so now we're going to take our spool and we're going to clean it. Clean the shaft off. That's pretty gross looking. Do the other side. And then we can clean our, if there's anything in here to clean. Basically, really just do the bearing in there, clean that off. You can see that there's a bearing right here. We're going to lube that. We're going to lube the shaft. And then we're going to lube this side of it too. So we'll do one drop right here and a little bit on the shaft there. Put one drop on that bearing and then some on the shaft as well. And then we can pop that back into the reel. And then there's also a bearing in here that I'm going to put a little bit of one drop of oil on. And that's that. Alright, and then the last thing that we're going to do is I'm going to grease my worm gear here. And I'm just going to put a little bit in the grooves there. And then just kind of work it in. You don't need a lot really. Just enough to give it a little bit of a coating over it. Put some on this side. And then you can also lubricate your grips right here if you'd like on the back. Just kind of rub that off, rub off the excess there. And then just kind of work it in a little bit. And you can do the whole outside, like I said, if you take a cloth. And I just put some of that solvent on there a little bit and just wipe down the whole outside of the reel. You can use just water or water with dish soap like Dawn or something. But I'm just going to wipe it all down with this. That is it for the Baitcaster anyways. I guess you could go a little more with it if you wanted to, but I'm not going to take anything apart in there. And it didn't look all that dirty, so that's the Baitcaster. I got 3 more of those that I'm going to do. I'm not going to do those on the camera. They're all the same except for my Super Duty here. It's a little bit different, but it all comes apart the same and should be the same to clean it. So now we're going to go to the spinning reel, sorry.